Hey fellas, your commissioner here, coming at ya for a little week five of NFL action. Can't believe it. We're already a quarter of the way, basically a quarter of the way through the fantasy season. More than a quarter of the way through more than a quarter of the way through the regular season for us. Normally we start about talking about a certain team with these videos. We've reached a point in the season where we typically stop talking about those, maybe earlier than we've reached in many years. Obviously, some things have been shaken up with the football program, rightfully so. Old pit boss, Titman's out the door. Half the defensive staff's gone with them. Probably about 75% of the players ought to go with them too. Good riddance. You know what I mean? Will things get better? Probably not. Will we get a good coach who will revive our program? Probably not. But around and around we go. Such is the life of an Arkansas fan, right? At least we hopefully got basketball and baseball to break our hearts in new fun ways coming up this winter and spring. So, without much further ado, let's go ahead and get into a recap of last week's games. Ugly week. We had a couple really, really good tight matchups. Some of the best matchups at games we've had, maybe fantasy-wise, all season so far. But we certainly had some stinkers as well. Buys are hitting this coming week. Injuries are just part of this game, aren't they? More on that a little bit later. Start off here with our Planters Cashew game of the week between the Swamp Donkeys and Kicker Lives Matter. Duncan comes out victorious 148-145, gets just enough from Jamar on Monday night to cement his win and put himself at 4-0. Congratulations to Mr. Bolch for being 4-0. Finally, a game of the week that lived up to the hype. You know what I mean? It's few and far between, but every now, maybe once or twice a year, the stars align. The matchups, work out just right. The records work out just right to where we get a high-scoring, highly competitive game for the game of the week, and this certainly delivered. Hey, broken clock's right twice a day, right? That's your old commish. So, really this game swung on a Tucker Kraft overturned touchdown leading to a Josh Jacobs touchdown. And, another thing I called it, I'll take Josh Jacobs twice on Sunday. And guess what he did on Sunday? He scored 2 touchdowns to get Duncan the W. 35 points from him, his highest score on the week. Judkins also looked extremely well in a blowout at Detroit. The fact that he was still able to get 20 carries in a game that they lost 34-10. Is quite telling. Detroit's certainly no slouch of a run defense either. And James Cook continues to impress. So, Duncan's got a tremendous trio of running backs. His wide receivers, a little bit to be desired. They got good names. Now he's got good names. Certainly Jamar is a great name. Under double digits each of the last 2 games with the Jake Browning experience. Not good. And really, going back to week 1, only had 5 points in week 1. You take away the 40-point explosion he had in week 2, and Jamar is averaging about 7 points a game. Curse of the 101, alive and well, safe to say, undefeated, unbeaten, undisputed, unbelievable. To be quite honest with you, unbelievable. It's unbelievable that this just continues to happen to the 101. And certainly one year, somebody's got to break the trend of whoever wins taking like 105, 106. Because honestly, that's proven historically to be 4, 5, 6 around there, to be some of the best draft spots that you could get, And you really hate to see a talented player waste away like that. BTJ maybe he's starting to get something going, but just, not what you wanted him or expected him to be from last year. And, the depth, like I said, with Duncan's team, the depth is just not there. It's not there, right? Can't rely on Hunter Renfrow, Adam Thielen, Isaac Tesla, Ramondre Stevenson, Josh Palmer. Mark Andrews is up and down. You can't rely on him. You can't, And so his only prayer to keep this momentous start that he's had to the season going is hoping that Jamar and BTJ can figure something out. Because they can't. I don't know how far those three running backs can take them. Now, granted, this week they combined for 85 points. You know what I mean? That's a pretty damn good floor. And Baker's going to give you 20 every week minimum. So he's at 100 right there. He's at 105 right there. And, you would, granted, now are they going to score 85 points every week? No, certainly not. Certainly not. But they could get you 60. I don't think that's unrealistic that they would be averaging 20 points a game. I think these guys are more than capable of that. And, if you get something figured out with the wide receiver room, then you're going to be all right. But certainly, if they don't figure it out or one or two of these guys go down, Duncan's skating on very thin ice. Very thin ice. And for the Swamp Donkeys, valiant effort to fall to 2-2. Blaine still has a tremendous team, despite what the record says. I mean, Puka Nacua is just, we haven't seen a fantasy player, a wide receiver. Maybe we have. I'm sure I'm forgetting, and I'm certainly probably being hyperbolic with this. But I mean, this guy, he's the number one overall player in fantasy. He is. It's right here, guys. Number one wide receiver, number one in fantasy. Oh, on the screen focus. Come on. Give it to me. Get up close. There it is. Come on. Come on. Just focus. Whatever. Take my word for it. I really wish that I could just do a little tweak and just, but I can't. Maybe I need to get a better camera. I don't know. But, I mean, 27 points, 29 points, 26 points, 40 points. He's just dominant. I mean, it was halftime. He had 10 catches for 100 and something yards at halftime, guys. Halftime. And I'll never forget. I was this close to picking up Puka before the start of week one waivers. Before the start of week one, before the game started. I think I picked up Tutu Atwell instead. Coward. And I regret it every day since. That's the game. But Derek, King Henry, he's really struggling. Just really, really struggling the last 3 weeks. Not what you want out of him after his 30-point game to start week one. Drake May's been solid. Didn't get as many. I mean, he really has. I mean, Drake's number 4 quarterback on the year somehow, some way. I have no idea. They don't have an alpha dog wide receiver. They don't really have a great offense. Somehow, some way, he's averaging 30 points a game basically the last 3 weeks. Hey, Cleo. Hey. Here, maybe you can't see her. Let's see. Let's get her on here real quick. Where is she? There she is. Hey, Cleo. She's sweet. She's a good cat. Yes. Oh. Who would have thought? Who would have thought I'd ever be a cat guy? Kenneth Walker, Ladd is just, again, extremely disappointing this season. That offense, he seems to be the third fiddle. Ibuka continues to impress. Tucker Kraft, again, I mean, he is one of the better tight end options you can get, certainly. Xavier had a really good bounce back, or a really good game in his season debut. You got to wonder how much that will last whenever Rashid comes back. And Blaine's kind of in the same spot with his bench. I mean, Fannin, after that tremendous week one, has done nothing but regress. Quorum as a backup, Jaden Blue is a healthy scratch every week. Honestly, shouldn't even be on a roster. Assuming that's just maybe a keeper bait situation for next year, I have no idea. Algier, perennial backup. Burden sucks. And then you got Dak. So, I think that Blaine has a really good starting lineup, just like Duncan. I think they've been underperforming a couple weeks, and that's why Blaine's 2-2. But I certainly think these are guys that can figure it out. They're good. A little bit of good mix of young and old. And Puka can keep him in contention in any given week if he's doing this, if he keeps this shit up. And I don't know how every offense can't do this for their star wide receiver. I don't. I mean, Puka, talent-wise, he's not better than Justin Jefferson. He's not better than Jamar Chase. He's not better than, probably talent-wise, maybe about the same as Amon-Ra St. Brown, right? I mean, there are these guys that, are, in my opinion, better talent-wise at wide receiver in dog shit offenses, either with bad quarterbacks, bad schemes, a mixture of all that, bad O-line play. Puka's got a 50-year-old Matthew Stafford throwing the ball with one arm, basically, one working shoulder or elbow, whatever he's got, bad back, all these ailments, middle of the tier, offensive line, and it just goes to Sean McVay's system. And if Sean can do this for Puka, how come Kevin O'Connell can't do this for Justin Jefferson? How come Zach Taylor can't do this for Jamar Chase? You know what I mean? I don't understand. So, anyway, Blaine's 2-2. Next here, we got Keeping the Faith versus Died on Burrow time. I set a high watermark for my season, 152 to 104. Put Hawk to 0-4, get myself to 3-1. And for Hawk, you just gotta feel for this guy, man. I talked about injuries. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy. It really couldn't happen to a nicer guy. This guy has lost Joe Burrow. He's lost he's lost Tyreek Hill for the year. He's lost now Trey Benson for a month plus out of nowhere. That came out of nowhere today. He's been without Tyrone Tracy for the last couple weeks, and now Tyrone's lost his job, clearly, the way Scadabo's been playing the last couple weeks. He's lost Kittle after week one. And it's just a tough situation. Am I forgetting anybody else? Let's look at Hawks week one roster. I don't think I'm missing anybody. Yeah, no. I'm not missing anybody yet. But, it's just the fact that Hawk was still able to get over 100 points this week is honestly a testament, pure sheer will, really on the back of Bijan. Got him 30 burger. Strange had 10, McMillan had 10, Tyreek had 15. Tyreek looked like he was in for a really good game, honestly. I mean, he had 6 for 67. Probably could have got himself a touchdown later in the game. And just happened to dislocate his knee, tear some ligaments, and is done for the year. I just don't know if brighter days are ahead for Hawk. Obviously, he made a move. We'll talk about that move here in a minute to get him some more depth. I think is the right move for him to make. And unfortunately for him, he just doesn't really have any other studs to move for 2-for-1 to continue trying to fill out his depth. And, his roster probably just is going to be what it is for the remainder of the year. For myself, of course, since I've gotten Herbert, he has struggled to break 20 points. He had 23 a couple weeks ago, 17 this week against what should have been a prime matchup. Their Chargers O-line is just decimated, destroyed. The Giants their defense sucks, but say what you will, they put all their money into their defensive line, and it clearly showed last weekend with the fact that Justin was able to still put up over 200 yards, throw a pick, or throw 2 picks, but get a touchdown. I mean, it really is quite remarkable. He really is one of the most talented quarterbacks we have in this league, because you put a guy like, Bryce Young, you put a guy like Kyler Murray in that same situation, and they don't crack 5 points. They don't. The Chargers don't score any points with a different quarterback. So, of course, Bucky had a tremendous game, then subsequently got hurt. Swift continues to be Mr. Reliable for me. 38 yards on 14 carries is pukey bad, but got a tutty. I mean, he's just going to keep getting that volume. Jefferson had a good game. Garrett, Marv, Brock continues to underwhelm. That whole Raiders offense continues to underwhelm. And Henry was a just a kind of spot start because I had to. Jalen Warren was a surprise scratch early in the Sunday game in Ireland. So the rolling hills of Ireland. You got your wee lass there, and you want to have a pint of Guinness. And, you just want to take in the scenery while you over, and there's the, damn it, there's the British. I think I had it just a minute, just a second, a little taste. I think I almost had the little Irish brogue, you know what I mean? Tommy fucking Shelby, the Peaky fucking Blind, the Peaky Blind. They're not Irish though, right? They're English, right? Huh. Anyway, I'll keep working on it. I think we do have another international game. I think we do have a British game. The British are coming. I think so. We'll get into that in a second. Anyway, whatever. I'm 3-1. I mean, my team is good. We're dealing with buys and injuries coming up. We'll get into that when we get into it. But certainly happy to be 3-1. One of the better starts I've had to a season. Certainly not going to sit on my laurels. And just hope this stays. I see the flaws and the cracks in my team, and certainly isn't a perfect team. But we're just gonna keep rolling. Just keep rolling. Hope we keep getting lucky. So next we got Wheat Leadville versus the Dirty Birds of War. Wheat Leadville also 4-0, number one team in the league. 126-118. Connor undershot his projection by about a cool, about 50 points. Daniel Dimes has came back down to reality, showing who he truly is. Yeah, I mean, 22 a couple weeks ago, 15 this week. I mean, the Rams are just so frustrating. They really are. They're a really frustrating team. They always have an extremely solid defense. And they're just scrappy, They're just kind of like their short little coach, right? Just scrappy guys, getting in the mix, winning games, scoring points, playing good defense. I really hate the Rams. I really do. I really wish them nothing but the worst. And not to their players. I love Sean. I love a lot of the players on the Rams. Personally, they got good guys. It's really just their crook of an owner, Stan Kroenke, and Les Snead, and their other little dipshit of a president. I can't remember what his name is, but he just has one of those faces that you just want to kind of punch in the face. You know what I mean? And if they ever heard this, not that they ever will, but I'm sure they would think it was quite hilarious because they get their rocks off. From laughing at the misery of the St. Louis fans. They could have done all this shit whenever they were in St. Louis. They chose not to. They got their pockets lined by old Raj and the NFL to tank their team, to get them out of St. Louis and get them to LA so they could be in that market again. So, whatever. They have more away fans at almost every game that they have in LA than they have LA fans, because nobody's an LA fan who's in LA. Nobody gives a fuck. The weather's beautiful. It's perfect outside. What am I going to do? Go watch these savages run into each other for 3 hours? No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go eat my kale salad and enjoy the beach and get a pump in or something. You know what I mean? That's what they do, right? Maybe Craig should live in California. It kind of sounds like his cup of tea. Anyway, Dirty Birds, whatever. I don't. Their teams. He lost Malik Neighbors. Tough loss. You hate to see that. You really couldn't happen to a nicer guy, you know what I mean, just for Connor. Guy certainly doesn't deserve any sort of poor injury luck. You hate to see it. It always happens. Seems to always happen to the good ones, right? You know what I mean? Certainly the league is worse off for not having Malik Neighbors in the mix. Again, Plunk can probably rival Duncan's running back trio. I mean, CMC, Achan, and Omarion certainly. Those are clearly the two best running back rooms in the league, 1A, 1B. Wide receiver room is not a lot to say about that. I mean, Diggs is kind of coming on. Seems like he's maybe going to be the guy. But, I mean, he's got Waddle. We'll get into that in a second. And for Leadville, underwhelming game, but solid game. 126 is a really good game. Very solid week, certainly. Kind of carried again by Josh Allen, giving him that 30-point floor that he's basically done every single week. Chuba, a little dinged up. Still got 10 points, 12 points. Javonte, again, has been probably one of the steals of the draft, if we're being quite honest. Rip got him in the 9th round, and he's the 6th running back on the season. There's one of those guys every year, right? Old grizzled vet. People left him for dead. Scores a bunch of touchdowns, gets a lot of points. This year's, LeGarrette Blount is Javonte. This year's Raheem Mostert, right? Javonte. He needs it because A.J. Brown is dog shit. The Eagles' offense is dog shit. They don't care. They don't care about anybody but themselves. They don't care about scoring points. They don't care about having flashy numbers. They don't care. They don't. A.J. Brown's wide receiver 46. This was Rip's first-round pick. Guys, first-round pick. 2 years in a row, he's taken a wide receiver first round, at the end of the first round, 112 specifically. Both years haven't worked out. Different reasons. Kupp was obviously injured last year. This year, 3 points, 8 points, 2 points, 124-point game, right? Don't want any part of that. Couldn't tell you that. DK's continued to look really well. He started off really hot last season and then kind of went to shit. Debo, it kind of looks like he maybe is the guy there. Again, he's been really solid outside of 1 week so far this season. Kincaid kind of up and down, but actually been pretty reliable so far this year. Montgomery had a rough game there. You see that you see the final score, 34-10. You would think that's a prime David Montgomery game, 15 carries for 76 yards and a tutty. No, 9 carries, 12 yards, no catches, no touchdowns, 1 point. So, left Dobbs on the bench, left QJ on the bench, 30 points, 25 points. Addison on the bench, 16 points. The way that these guys have been playing, you got to ask the question. Do I put these guys in over A.J. Brown? I think that's a serious question that Rip needs to ask himself about this team. And Rip's got just enough of depth and just enough talent to have to play a game with who do I start this week? And do I guess right or do I guess wrong? It didn't cost him this week. It very well could have. Because Rip could have easily put up 150 this week, right? Easily. Maybe more, 160. Now, are you going to put in Romeo Dobbs and Jordan Addison and Quentin Johnson over A.J. Brown? No, you're not. But maybe you should. You know what I mean? Maybe you should. Certainly got to wonder about those guys over David Montgomery against a Cleveland defense who has stymied a lot of good players so far this year, right? Anyway, Rip's 4-0. So next here we got Truck Nuts versus Major Comeback Season. Another really tight, really close game. Came down to Monday night. Ford highest scoring point total on the week, 152.8. Knocks off Nick to 149.05 for Nick. Both of these guys are now 2-2. Both of these guys had 30 plus from their quarterbacks. Both of these guys had 20-point games from their wide receivers. Pickens had a monster game. London had a great game. Sutton had a solid game. Pearsall and DJ really did not much. But Janty finally had his breakout game. Put him in the flex, and he responded. That's what a good coach, good leader, a good owner does, right? He knows how to motivate his guys. Put Janty in the flex. What does Janty do? He goes back to his Michael Myers stance, standing basically straight up in the backfield. He gets 3 touchdowns this week, 21 carries, 140 yards. This is what I was afraid of by keeping Brock Bowers. This is why I didn't want Jacoby Myers. Number one, Geno's just a kind of mid-ass quarterback, to be honest with you. He's on the Jameis track, except without the 30 touchdowns. He's on track for 30 picks. And Pete Carroll loves to run the rock. He is an old-school coach. Play good defense, run the ball, control the clock. And they finally got Janty going, and I'm fearful that this is going to be the recipe for them for the rest of the year, even though they lost this game. I mean, they basically need teams to run it up on them, to force them to throw. But for Ford, again, he's got a couple solid pieces on his bench. I mean, Hollywood Brown's up and down. He caught a touchdown. Other than that, 3 for 38, not great. Kamara, good, not what he once was, certainly. Just a kind of a solid RB2, fringe flex guy. But, Mason is good. Scatterbo is good. He had, Scatterbo. Yeah, Scatterbo's good. He's good. And for Nick, JT kind of has come back down to reality. The regression was due to hit. I mean, he had back-to-back 30-point games. That wasn't going to continue. Everybody knew that. Chase Brown, unfortunately, just maybe has turned back into a little bit of a pumpkin. Maybe he's just not that guy. The whole offense is just a mess. It's just a mess. They need to overhaul the O-line. Need to overhaul the quarterback. It's just a problem. It's a problem. Jay Browning's not it. The O-line sucks. The scheme sucks. Just clean house. Just get them out. Bengals used to be fun. But there was a time, I remember in high school, where I had a rule. Whenever I first started playing fantasy, is you don't take any Bengals. You just don't take them. Because they were just a suck fest. And I'm afraid that we're kind of approaching that territory again with them, which is unfortunate because they have a lot of great, talented offensive players on their team still. Hopefully they can figure out a way to make it work. For Nick, he's just, he left Woody Marks on the bench. I don't blame him. Woody has a breakout game finally. He'll probably throw him in his lineup and he'll go back to getting like 10 points a game or something less than that. So, both of these guys, I think there's a potential for them to make the playoffs. I don't think either of these guys are going to win a championship, and I don't think either of these guys are going to win horse ass either. I think they're just kind of, mid-ass Jeff Fisher teams. So next we got the 2025 horse ass versus doesn't contribute. Savoy, change your team name again. You're 2-2. There's I can name off probably 3 or 4 teams that are very, very much more likely to win horse ass over your team. Beats doesn't contribute Jeff Fisher 134 to 120. Amon-Ra just continues to be a stud. I mean, another 2 touchdowns. He's averaging 25 points a game, basically. The last 3 weeks, more than that, really. Henderson maybe finally is getting going, got a touchdown. Other than that, a pretty underwhelming stat line. Again, I guess the offense just runs through Drake May. Odunze, Breece Hall had good games, no longer part of his organization. Tyler Warren got back on track. You like to see that if you're Savoy. After a couple weeks of not great. I mean, 14 is good. 8's not great. And Golden, he finally puts him in. And Golden maybe he's going to get going. But again, Packers offense, it's a lottery ticket, right? Do you feel like you're going to get lucky this week? Do you feel like you're going to play the right guys? Is it going to be Wicks? Is it going to be Dobbs? Is it going to be Golden? Is it going to be Christian Watson here in a few weeks? Is it going to be Jaden Reed here in a couple months again? Is it going to be Tucker Kraft? Is it going to be some other random guy, Bo Melton or somebody? You know what I mean? Savion Williams. I don't know. It's just, roll the dice at your risk. Jaden was out. He did practice in full today, so you got to think he's probably going to be back in the mix this week. Badly needed for Savoy. Clearly not having much success at the quarterback roulette. But his bench, again, just doesn't inspire confidence at all. I mean, Thornton, cut bait. Horton, cut bait. Brian Robinson, cut bait. Jerry McNichols, cut bait. T. Higgins, 7 points, 3 points, 6 points, and he's got a 15-point game in there too. I mean, just Keenan Allen, only 10 points. Kind of came crashing back down to reality. Probably should have been a sell high, but I don't know who would have bought him and for what. I don't know about the trade that he made, but we'll get into that here very shortly. And for Craig, 120, it's good. I mean, it would have got him a win against several teams this week. Devontae Smith continues to underwhelm. Jameson, boom bust guy. Ferguson has looked great for him. It was a great pickup towards the end of the draft. 16 points, 22 points, 18 points the last 3 weeks for Ferguson. Dak seems to only have eyes for him. I mean, really, that their defense isn't good, so they're getting in constant shootouts, which is what you want as an offense or as an owner with players on an offense, right? So R.J. Harvey on the bench as well for Craig. Got to wonder if he's going to work his way into the starting lineup sooner than later. And then just a bunch of guys that he's cut. Keon again since week 1. He caught that fluky touchdown to really inflate his numbers, but 6 points, 5 points, 9 points. Again, he's got the talent, but that offense is just kind of similar to the Packers in a way, except their quarterback is the one who usually gets all the production himself, right? And the running back's really good too. So, and then that brings us to our dog shit team of the week. Dog shit, throw up all over themselves, covered in baby shit, baby puke, baby piss. Team of the week, Flo's Fury NTC, 91.85 points for old Wilson. Falls to 1-3. Wilson, since week 1, has just been on a steady decline. Scored 153 week 1. Tremendous, right? Wilson, the week 1 warrior. Week 2, 122. Solid, tough loss to the horse-ass team, supposed. Leadville smacked him down. 101 points only scored against him. 91.85 points this week. How low can we go, right? How low can we go? He's playing. I mean, you know what I mean? It's just lost Lamar early in the game. Only got 16 points out of him. Chubb has just been RB3 level of production. You know what I mean? Ayo Manor, again, tough to trust anybody in that Titans offense. Zay is kind of balanced out a little bit. I mean, 16 solid, certainly, but I mean, that's his wide receiver 1, right? This is wide receiver 1, Jerry Jeudy has continued to underwhelm and underimpress this week. Only 8 points from him. Laporta just cannot recapture the magic of his rookie year. Maybe he only wanted to play for me. Who knows? Maybe he was upset that he got traded and he's protesting that I'm still on this fucking guy's team. I thought last year was proof enough that I don't want to play for this guy. And he gets me again? Just not good. He's had, he had a solid week 1, but 6 points, 8 points, 7 points. Kind of on the Brock Bowers track, just a slightly worse version. Not good. Tyquan Thornton, not good, right? You got Tutty, saved his day from being truly bad. I mean, 1 for 11. You know what I mean? 1 for 11. That's like a 2-point game, basically. Maybe 3, right? Hey, there's Loki. He spent a ton on Miles Sanders. He spent 22 on Miles Sanders. Already cut him on his roster. Didn't throw in Kenny Gainwell. Granted, he's probably still sleeping or dealing with Flo or something in the morning. Didn't see that news. Does have Rashad White. Rashad's going to be the guy probably for the next couple weeks. Mike Evans has been out. Certainly get him back. That'll be worth something maybe. Cup, not good. Over the hill. And Kyle Pitts has honestly looked good to great. Good to solid. Good to solid. And you got to think he's got to be in a lineup soon. But and Joe Mixon is not going to play this year. Just go ahead and cut him, get rid of him. He's gone. He's not playing. Yeah, hate that, but he's not. Okay. And for JD, congratulations. I almost missed that. Congratulations, JD. First win, 1-3, only 117. Okay, you get lucky into a win like this at 117. Patty, 36 points, had his best game of the year, I believe. Yes. Honestly, Patty's really been pretty good despite how bad the Chiefs' offense has been perceived to be. I mean, 33, 28, 17, and 36. JK is solid, he's just been Mr. RB2, shitting out 15-point weeks every week. Pollard has been okay, again, kind of RB2 levels. Nico up and down, he's questionable now. Olave kind of the same way. Tillman stinks, IR, get rid of him. Hawkinson continues to kind of disappoint this year. And ETN looks good. So got a good 3 running backs there. McLaurin will be back. You got to think sooner than later. CD will be back. I think brighter days are ahead for JD. I'd be stunned, honestly, to see him. His team's not great. Don't get me wrong. His team's not great. But I would be surprised to see him I'd be surprised to see him get horse ass. I think Wilson and Hawk would probably be my top 2 picks for that, and then JD. So. All right, so we had a trade. We did have a trade. Let's see, did I miss anything else? No. Hawk as a way to try to, kind of build out his roster to get people that aren't dead. Traded away his golden goose, Bajan, to Savoy for Rome Odunze and Breece Hall. I think it's a great trade for both of these teams, really. I question it more for Savoy's side. I understand getting that top-tier talent. I don't know that he had the wide receiver depth to – it's not a move I would have made. I'll just say that, right, with the wide receiver depth. I think value-wise on the surface, yes, very good, fair, even trade. You open the hood and you look behind it, and I just don't understand how Savoy is going to field a full complement of wide receivers that are going to get more than a couple points, especially once the buys start hitting. Now, I guess he's banking on Bajan making up for that lack of production in his wide receiver room. Certainly possible. But you got to think the difference of production between Breece and Bajan is not, it's tangible, certainly. But I just don't know. I don't know why he made that move. I think it's very questionable in my mind, especially for a team who hates the Falcons. Had a crazy waiver wire run. Of course, another one, 10 claims, bunch of trash, bunch of solo bids. People playing mind games with themselves. Darius Slayton was the big bell of the ball, 31 to him. Plunk got him. Duncan was in for 27, tried to get his guy back. Savoy in for 27. Craig was in for 1. Goddard goes to JD for 29. I picked up Dave McCardo for 28. He's now the starting running back. Hopefully, maybe. They said it's going to be a 3-headed committee out of nowhere. Bam Knight is back in the mix. And Michael Carter, 2 Jets has-beens, cast-offs that the Jets gobbled up, or that the Cardinals gobbled up. Dave McCardo will probably just be a passing down back still and probably not get a lot of work. It'll be really probably a waste of money. Justice Hill goes to Wilson for 22. Got to get your guy. Duncan picks up Isaiah Bond for 19. Craig was in for 1. Plunk was in for 7. Wheels picks up Darren Waller for 18. Nobody else in on him. Rip gets Stafford for 16. Wilson in for 4. Savoy in for 3. I get Malik Washington. Nick for 16. Just sniped Nick. Nick was in for 14. Craig in for 1. Craig's just in for 1 on all these guys. I love that. Nick does get Brashard Smith for 8. I was in for 1, couldn't get him anyway. And McMillan goes to Craig for 1. So finally, got to get your guy. Anyway, let's go ahead here and get into a preview of this week's matchups. Running long already. I try to give you guys a lot of analysis. We're at a good milestone in the season. We're starting to get a pretty good understanding of how these teams are shaping up. As we start to approach the second quarter, middle third of the season. And so I wanted to give you guys a little bit more in-depth look at how I view the state of you guys' rosters and your teams. So hopefully you don't mind. Game of the week this week. God, I gotta kind of put him in 3. I'm not going to. I should, but I'm not going to. We got to spread the wealth, spread the love. We'll start off here. Keeping the faith versus Kickers Lives Matter. I'm currently projected to lose 144 to 135. By far my lowest projection on the season. Dealing with buys and injuries. Bucky was in a walking boot and crutches. Not ruled out yet. I obviously didn't practice today. There's a chance he plays week 5. I don't buy it. I've got Warren on bye. I've got Swift on bye. I've got Rasheed suspended still. Granted, this is everything. But I'm basically forced to start DeMarco and Chris Rodriguez. I was working the phones with a quarter of the league last night and this morning trying to work a deal, trying to get somebody, get a running back. Nothing really came to fruition. Not surprised there, given the guys that I talked to. No offense. I understand you guys run your team however you want to run it. You guys know my thoughts about the lack of trying to make moves. It didn't pan out. I guess, I got DeMarco. I thought other people would be in on him. I was kind of worried that, who else is going to find out about this? The Benson's hurt. Long story short, I don't think I'm going to be able to get enough out of the running back room this week. We'll go with Duncan and get to 5-0. How about that? Next, we got Swamp Donkeys versus Flo's Fury. Blaine's projected to win 153 to 100. Obviously, Wilson doesn't have a quarterback. Didn't pick one up yet. Gainwell's on bye. Pitts is on bye. Mike Evans is still out. Blaine in a route. Next, we got We Leadville versus Died on Burrow Time. I feel bad for Hawk. Hawk's got to show to me that he can win in this league. Rip 5-0. Book it. Hawk 0-5. Hate to see that. Next, we got 2025 Horse Ass versus the McCockners. JD is actually projected to win 141 to 108. I will probably be dipping my toe in the under for that, certainly. Granted, Savoy does not have a running back in there. He doesn't have Bijan in there yet. Doesn't have a flex in there yet. Bijan's on bye. So he's going to have to start Jeremy McNichols or Brian Robinson and then either Torrey Horton or Dante Thornton. See, this is why I said JD, he's had some bad luck, certainly. Probably the second unluckiest team when it's come to injuries this season. But, the way the schedule works out sometimes, the fantasy gods throw you a bone. I like JD to win this one, get himself to 2-3 and put Savoy at 2-3. Savoy's made that trade, obviously, for the long term. So, but this is what I'm talking about, right? This is a guaranteed loss, probably, most likely, that he's taking this week by making this move and not, having Breece Hall and Ramo Dunze in here. And his depth is getting exposed by buys. He doesn't really have injuries yet, but by buys. I don't know why he still has Smith on his roster and he's cut him, get him gone, get him out. But that's the game you play, right? This game might seem inconsequential now, but I don't see Savoy going on some massive run with this roster and clearly establishing and breaking away from the pack to confirm a playoff spot. Maybe he will. But if he doesn't, this game could come back and bite him in the ass, not only just to get in the playoffs, but it could, if his team name comes to fruition, like he seems to think it is by not changing it, it could come down to one less chance he gets at winning a game in the bitch boy bracket, right? So, JD in that one. And then penultimate matchup, Dirty Birds of War, major comeback season, 2 old rivals, 2 old champions. One a lot more recently, more frequently than the other one. One was kind of living in the past. 169 to 141. Hammer the under for Plunk. That's just a weekly automatic bet for me. I'm sure it's going to bite me one of these days, but I just don't see that this week. Yeah. Nick's team's good, not great. I think both of these teams are good, not great, personally. I do like Plunk to win that one, though, get himself to 2-3. Plunk always seems to find a way, doesn't he? Isn't it frustrating that way? He always seems to find a way. And then that brings us to our game of the week. Our Cliff Bar game of the week. Chocolate chip, sustained energy. Got a smaller wrapper, but the same size bar. You know what? I've eaten a few of these already, and I was just thinking that this seems smaller. Not just the wrapper. This whole thing seems like it's been a victim to shrinkflation. You know what I mean? 250 calories. Got some fats in it, some carbs, sodium, good amount of fiber, good amount of protein, a lot of added sugars. Don't love that, but it's the only way you can really make it taste good. You know what I mean? So, anyways, Cliff Bar, the official energy bar of the Bring That Wood Fantasy Football League. Cheers. By the way, Duncan, you said that you were going to have some people send me some food items to sponsor in the game of the week. That's about 2-3 weeks ago. Have seen nothing in regard to that. So, not sure if you need to get with your people or what, but cheers. All right. Chuck nuts. Doesn't contribute. Both these teams are 2-2. Jeff is projected to win 152 to 141. And you've got the hipster elite versus the blue collar firefighter, father of two. You know what I mean? Versus the single hipster, dog dad who loves salads. You know what I mean? It's like classic America versus New Age America, right? This matchup right here, right? It's not just about the record. It's not just about the players. It's about more than that, right? These storylines, right? You got to make these storylines, right? The NFL does that. We need to start doing more of that, right? Battle of the quarterback. You got Kyler Murray versus Jalen Hurts. Both of these guys are very poopy, very stinky. But Jalen Hurts is definitely, I can't pick him over Kyler Murray. Or I can't not pick him over Kyler Murray. We'll go Jalen in that one. Running back, we got Janty back in the RB1 slot. And Scatabo versus Gibbs and Kyron Williams. As much as I hate Kyron Williams, we'll go with Craig in that one as well. Battle of the wide receiver, you got Sutton, Booty, Hollywood versus JSN, Devontae Smith, and Jameson Williams. It's dog shit. That's a dog shit wide receiver room. Push. I don't feel good about any of those guys. Push. Tight end, you got Trey McBride and Ferguson. My heart and my gut wants to tell me to go with McBride. I love McBride. Great player. But I can't ignore the numbers that Ferguson's been putting up, so I'm going to have to push that one as well. And then battle the flex, you got Kamara versus Pittman. For old time's sakes, we'll go with Kamara. My old guy, kind of barely, way back in the day. Over Pittman. I don't like Pittman. You guys, I picked Kyron. I don't want to pick Pittman too. I guess, Pittman's been good this year now. Don't get me wrong, guys. Hand up. I'll admit it. I'm man enough to admit that Pittman's been damn good this year. But I don't like it. All that to say, I think that Craig has a better team than Josh, and I do think that New Age America is going to win out, as it seems to be happening, no matter how much, the classics try to push back. Unfortunately, too much money, too much power, too much aura. I think Craig gets it done this week. So that's all I got, fellas. I'm not going to – Hogs are on bye, but even if they weren't, whatever. Let's see if hopefully we just don't lose the bye. Anyways, good luck this week, fellas. Stay safe out there. And as always, woo pig.